My fiancé keeps on saying I should invite my parents to our wedding. They're the same ones who kicked me out and said I'd never be welcome back. I'm not sure now if I want to get married. I'll give you some background. My dad left the family and went no contact when I was 35 months old. My mum remarried and I have 2 kids with my stepdad, Dale. He never treated me poorly, but he always made it clear that I was not his son. To him, I was not his daughter. My mum never tried to fix the relationship and loved her new family. She always saw me as a burden. At least that's what I thought until it was confirmed after my freshman year. After I left home to go to college, my mum asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and haven't had any contact with her, my stepdad or my half-brother since then. I still speak to my half-sister, who is 25, at her insistence, but that's my only contact. It took me a long time to deal with basically being kicked out. I grew up pretty independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancé, who is 28 and 4 years my senior. We have a great relationship and her family welcomed me with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family and they are great. Over the years, I've told her about my issues with my family. She's met my sister and never pushed for more until we started planning the wedding. When we started talking about who would invite, I mentioned friends from college and colleagues. She kept suggesting that I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just trying to gauge if I wanted to. I said I wouldn't be inviting my parents. She said okay, but then brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they'd hurt me, how growing up feeling unwanted and then having it confirmed at 19 really stunted my mental health. I explained that over the years, I've realized it's their problem. If they want to resolve this, they can reach out. I'm in contact with my sister, and it's evident that they are content to ignore me. It's unfortunate, but it's their issue that they've forced upon me. I can't be the one to resolve it. I thought it had ended, but she brought it up twice more. The last time was last night, when we were about to start planning the wedding. She said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents?" I felt like I might just invite them on my side. I got really upset and told her, we should probably just throw the invitations away, because if you can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to. I then went to our bedroom and had a little think. She came in to try to talk to me and I told her I wasn't interested and walked out. I grabbed my keys and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after hanging with friends and slept on the couch. She left for work without a word to me and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior is unacceptable, but I feel like I may have gone too far. What do you all think? She's already in contact with your parents. This kind of obliviousness doesn't start with asking permission, but rather with begging forgiveness. She would hint that my mum and Dale wanted to reconcile, but they don't. They're honestly happier pretending I don't exist. Update, 1 day later 5:30 p.m. After finishing work, I worked from home. I waited for her to show up. I got worried when it was 6. And she still wasn't home. But around 6:15. She showed up with my sister, which was a surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday. We live 45 minutes away from each other. So her popping it was a bit strange. They both looked really anxious, so I was a bit confused. I asked them what was going on and my sister just started crying and saying she was sorry. After about 5 minutes of her having a bit of a breakdown, she started talking about the family. Apparently, when she told my mum and Dale that I got engaged, it created a bit of a rift. It's not because they care about me, but because my half-brother, who is 27, is still living at home, single with no steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19, but let him stay there past the age when he could rent a car, don't worry. I said it out loud. My mom apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale won't let her. So they are currently separated. I told her that my engagement had nothing to do with it. I said that their parenting and relationship skills were to blame. I wasn't going to take the blame for their mistakes. She cried even harder. I wasn't going to console her. My fiancé was just sitting there. He was there the whole time, so while my sister was trying to pull herself together, I asked my fiancé about this. She also teared up a bit and told me that my sister had been telling her how I always bring up the family on our Thursdays. She said that deep down, I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that when I was very clear that I was no contact with my family and had never mentioned wanting to be in contact. I told her that I share everything with her and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She's always been my sounding board when I switched jobs last year. We talked about it was a nightly occurrence, and her advice was more valuable than anyone else's. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perked up like an astronaut to show the phone conversation, but my fiancé told her she was trying to save our relationship. It turns out my sister had been completely honest about our Thursday conversations. She was saying that I was always talking about reconciling, that I would never admit it, but was partially at fault too, and that I really wanted to see them all again. Every time I told my fiancé no, she would text my sister and my sister. She would respond, claiming that I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. All of this was completely false. I would be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister still sees them at this point. I told my half-sister to leave and Thursdays are cancelled. My sister put up a bit of a fight, but I ignored her until she left. She kept saying sorry over and over again, but honestly I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. It's a complete betrayal of my feelings and relationships. I ignored her until she left. She kept saying sorry, but I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. It's a complete betrayal of my feelings and relationships. As for my fiancé and me, I am still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister, never asked me about it, let my sister manipulate her and hurt me. I told her I love her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but right now it's up in the air. She's got a lot of work to do. Update 28 days later. A lot has happened since my sister left, so I'll try to give you the lowdown. After my sister left, I told my fiancé that I loved her but didn't trust her. At the time, I felt like she was taking my sister's side instead of mine, so I continued to sleep on the couch for a couple of nights. She was walking on eggshells around me. I really disliked it, but I just wasn't ready to forgive her. Then on Friday night, after I'd been out with friends, I came home and crashed on the couch. We'd had a fairly innocuous conversation, but she'd asked me to come to bed and I told her I just wasn't ready. I woke up to use the bathroom at around 3 a.m. and she was sleeping. I don't know why, but it touched me deeply and I cried a little. It meant so much to know that she wanted to be near me, even when I was being unloving. I woke up a few hours later and she was making breakfast, a surprise, since Saturday is usually my big breakfast making day. We sat down to eat, and while she was still trying to keep the conversation light and tread on eggshells, I decided to share a story from my childhood. I told her how Dale used to make breakfast for the family, but never included me. I was older, so I slept in, and when I got up, there was rarely any. I told her that breakfast was usually left, and that if it wasn't, it was in the fridge and no one would eat with me. I also explained how much our Saturday brunches mean to me and that I hadn't really ever talked about it, which wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it and that I forgave her. I still want to do couples therapy because I think it'll help me express my family issues with her in a healthy way. I'm ready to send out save the dates. I then asked her to massage my back because the couch was uncomfortable to sleep on, and she knew I was serious. I don't like people touching me. I had really not allowed it since the original incident. I know most of you did not want me to forgive my fiancée, but I love her and she loves me. She made a huge mistake, but she's never experienced anything like what I went through. She showed remorse. As for my sister, my mum reached out. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. The caller told me I should forgive my sister. I told them to screw off. It just confirmed what I already knew: my sister never had a relationship with me. She would know that contacting my mum would only make things worse. I then blocked the number. On Thursday evening, she tried to come by on Sunday, but my fiancé and I were out. She left a note apologizing for contacting my mum without asking and said she was sorry. My fiancé doesn't want anything to do with my sister anymore, but he left it up to me. I told her that my sister was my family, so if she didn't want her there, she wouldn't be there. It was a bit of a job for sure, but she said she didn't want her there, but we've been getting back to normal. I think I might try individual therapy because I've been reflecting on everything and I'm starting to realize the family situation might be worse than I've acknowledged. It might be time to really deal with it. The save the dates were sent out yesterday, and the wedding is still on. I'm not sure. I'll give you another update soon. Thanks for letting me process this. I don't understand why eating breakfast on Saturday as a child was so important if you just had to get up early and eat with the family. Many of you have had great relationships with your parents or step-parents and never had to deal with someone like Dale, who would roll his eyes and look annoyed. And then say something like, "It looks like he's ruined daddy-kid time," before looking at his other siblings. I'm happy you didn't have to deal with that, but I'm tired of having to explain and reopen painful memories for your entertainment. When I came here for advice and events, I didn't come here to be entertained. This was an update as a thank you. I kind of wish I hadn't done it. I definitely won't update again.